I transmigrated into a high fantasy cultivation novel. Not only was I the sole heir to the world's most powerful dynasty, the White Family, but I was also the senior disciple of the prestigious Celestial Order. Yet here I was standing in my own manor while my personal housemaid, a girl my family had raised, shouted at me, demanding I give my family's ancestral holy sword to a stable boy. Asher, even if you're willing to give me the White Star, I will never love you. You'd better have some self-awareness. And it didn't stop there. At my own engagement gala, my fiancé had the nerve to call it off in front of the entire high society. Asher White, this engagement is over. If you don't agree to it, I swear one day I'll wipe out every single member of your family. Later, when I finally cleared up those headaches and returned to my sect, my junior brother had the audacity to frame me for stealing his basic vitality pills. My own mentor demanded I destroy my own cultivation and kneel to apologize. While disciple, how could you, as a senior disciple, do something so shameful? Destroy your powers and get on your knees. Bow to your junior brother and beg for forgiveness. Why was everyone in this world so delusional? I had the alpha villain and protagonist hunter system. I was the only Earth Immortal level powerhouse on the entire continent. Would I really steal a measly bottle of vitality pills? I burst into a manic laugh. Damn, this cultivation world really is a trashy female frequency romance novel, isn't it? My dear friends, it seems you've all found your way to a death sentence. I opened my eyes in a vast opulent hall. Outside, the summer cicadas were buzzing incessantly. Standing before me was a young woman in a pale yellow dress. She was delicate and graceful, but her face was twisted with indignation. She held a storage pouch in her hand, her head held high, her eyes cold as daggers. Asher, don't think for a second that giving me a 100,000 essence crystals will make me forgive you. Mia nipped. Liam's carriage broke down, so he couldn't pick you up in the lounge last night. And what did you do? You threw him into the koi pond this morning. I never realized that you, the great heir of the White Dynasty, could be so petty and malicious. Around us, the other servants and maids gathered, their eyes gleaming with the hope of seeing a scandal. A young man around 18 or 19 stood nearby. He was soaking wet, but his handsome features and sharp eyebrows were set in a look of pathetic grievance. This was Liam. Mia, don't blame the young master, Liam said, his voice trembling with manufactured humility. It was all my fault. If the carriage hadn't broken down, Master Asher wouldn't have had to walk home alone. I'm just a servant. It's only right that he teaches me a lesson. Let's just drop it. Okay. Mia immediately pulled the soaking wet boy into her arms, wiping away tears of pity. We are not dropping it, she cried. Liam, you've always been too kind for your own good. That's why he keeps bullying you. Today, I'm going to make sure he gives you justice. She puffed out her cheeks and glared at me with pure venom. Then her eyes landed on the sword of my waist, and they suddenly lit up with greed. Master Asher, why don't you give your white star blade to Liam as a formal apology? But let me be clear. Even if you give up the sword, I won't love you. You'd better have some self-awareness. The crowd of servants gasped. The White Star was the ancestral holy sword of the White family, passed down for 1,000 years. It was one of the 10 legendary blades of the world, sentient and powerful. A mere housemaid was actually demanding the family's greatest treasure for a stable boy. Liam's eyes flashed with a sudden burning hunger when he heard her proposal. When I didn't immediately respond, Mia stepped forward to grab the hilt. I looked down at the sword. The scabbard was ancient and plain, but a faint, murderous aura pulsed beneath the surface. Mia pulled with all her might, but she couldn't budge the blade an inch. I had just arrived in this world and was still piecing things together, but based on their words, the hierarchy was clear. I was the master, and they were the help. A servant dared to ride over her master's head. She wanted me to hand over a holy relic to a stable boy as an apology. This wasn't just backwards. It was insane. I didn't say a word. I simply raised my hand and backhanded Mia across the face. The force sent her flying. She soared through the air and hit a decorative rock formation in the courtyard with a sickening thud. Stone shattered. Her cheeks swelled instantly as she struggled to crawl out of the rubble. The servants stared, eyes wide, breath catching in their throats. Liam's grieved expression froze. It was replaced by shock and pure rage. He hesitated for a second before blurring into a shadow, rushing to pull Mia into his arms. Mia, are you okay? Master Asher, how could you lay a hand on her? You've gone too far. Ding. Congratulations, host, for awakening the alpha villain and protagonist hunter system. Would you like to claim your newbie starter pack? I rubbed my hands together mentally, not hesitating for a second. The Transmigrator's perk had finally arrived. Yes, Congratulations. Host has received. Cultivation level +1. Chaos Heavenly Root +1. Plot Fragment Unlock +1. As the system notification faded, my power surged violently. I jumped straight from the middle stage of the Nent Soul realm to the middle stage of the Spirit Severing realm. The speed was like being strapped to a rocket. Simultaneously, a flood of memories about this world filled my mind. My name was Asher White. I was the senior disciple of the Celestial Order and the only son of the patriarch of the White Dynasty, the most powerful of the 4 great families. For the past decade, the demon realm had been invading. The elites of the great families were all away fighting on the Abyss front. I had returned from the sect specifically for my engagement to the Sterling family. It was meant to be a formal ceremony. Now, with a wedding to follow after the war, the girl I just slapped was Mia, my personal maid. The original Asher had been a total S. He didn't just crawl for his fiancée. He even let his servants walk all over him. Most of the resources he received from his family and sect were handed over by Mia to Liam, the stable boy. In the original plot, all 1,800 members of the White family were eventually slaughtered, and Liam was right there among the killers. In the future, Liam would hold a sword to Asher's throat and roar, "Asher, if you hadn't used your power to force Mia to be your maid, she would have been with me. You've kept her from me for years, and today I'm going to tear you into pieces." I looked at Liam again. My gaze had changed. Liam and Mia were childhood friends from the same village. Mia had pulled strings to get him a job at the White Estate. His parents had been killed by enemies, and he possessed top-tier cultivation talent. The White family, admiring talent and sway by Mia's pleading, had even allowed him into the archives to study secret manuals. At only 19, he had already reached the Nent Soul stage through self-study. He was the textbook definition of a protagonist archetype. Mia, supported by Liam, struggled to her feet. She marched back into the hall, staring at me with pure hatred. "Master, you dare to hit me? I want you on your knees apologizing right now, or Mia will never forgive you." My old nanny, Mia's mother, pointed a trembling finger at my nose. "That's right, Master Asher. How could you strike Mia? You're getting more reckless by the day. Apologize now and give her the sword as a peace offering. Otherwise, if Mia ignores you, don't come crying to me." This nanny had used her position as my childhood caretaker and Mia's mother to act like the queen of the White Estate while the parents were away at war. She looked down on everyone, a servant, pointing at the master's nose and calling him reckless. This world really was a soap opera. I lost all patience. "Butler! Butler!" Alfred rushed forward. "Sir, your orders?" I pointed at the nanny and Mia. My voice was ice according to the White family rules. "What is the penalty for a servant insulting their master and disregarding their station?" Alfred's eyes lit up. He answered firmly, "Sir, 30 lashes and immediate expulsion from the estate." Mia seed. She looked at me in disbelief. The nanny exploded. "No, you can't do this to me. Asher, you ungrateful little brat. I raised you. You hit my daughter and now you want to whip me. Are you even human?" Mia's eyes were full of malice. "Enough. Asher, you're just jealous because I'm nice to Liam, aren't you? Liam and I grew up together. He's like a brother to me. You're just doing all this to get my attention. Fina, if you kneel and apologize, I might consider forgiving you once." Otherwise, before she could finish, I slapped her again, using my power this time. She spun through the air, spraying a mouthful of blood. She slammed into a pillar and slid to the floor like a dead dog. "So noisy," I muttered. "Butler, take them down. Execute them. Beat them to death." The butler looked at me with renewed respect. He had hated these two for years. They walked around with their noses in the air, disrespecting the young master and everyone else. Alfred waved his hand and 8 armed guards rushed in. Mia and the nanny finally realized I wasn't joking. Terror filled their eyes. "No. If a mistress finds out, she'll never forgive you." The nanny screamed, throwing herself over Mia to protect her, only to be pinned down by the guards. "Master Asher, you can't. Mia is yours." The nanny struggled violently, tears streaming down her face. "I was wrong. I'm sorry. I'll bow to you. Just please spare Mia." She threw herself on her knees, slamming her forehead against the stone floor repeatedly. Blood soon stained the tiles. Mia was also fighting the guards. "Master, how can you do this? You said you'd take care of me forever. Have you forgotten? I don't need an apology anymore." "Okay, just stop this." I looked down at her coldly. "Mia, for years, I never treated you like a servant. Every good thing I got, you were the first person I thought of. When those thugs tried to harass you and your mother back in your hometown, I had them all hunted down for you. And how did you repay me? You stole tens of thousands of essence crystals from me every month to give to this stable boy. And even if I did push him into the pond, I am a master. He is the help. He has to take it. Yet you want me to hand over the family's holy sword to him? You want the heir of the White Dynasty to kneel? Am I the one who's crazy, or are you? I waved my hand sharply. Butler, take them. Do it now. The guards dragged them away. Mia finally broke. The Asher she knew. The pushover was gone. In his place was a man of terrifying indifference. Master, I'm sorry. I really am. I won't do it again. Please spare me. Asher White. You wouldn't dare. Liam roared. His cultivation erupted. The power of a net soul expert shook the hall, sending the weaker servants tumbling. He drew a long blade, turning into a streak of light as he charged toward the guards holding Mia. You're asking for death, the captain of the guards, Rex, shouted. He leveled a golden spear, lunging at Liam like a striking dragon. The blade and spear collided with a thunderous boom. Stone shattered, and the courtyard floor was cratered by the shock wave. Liam stood his ground, unmoved. Rex, despite being a higher-level expert, was forced back several steps, blood leaking from his lips. The surrounding guards were stunned. They never expected a mere stable boy to be stronger than their captain. I wasn't surprised. Liam was a protagonist. He was built to fight above his weight class. Liam pointed his blade at the sky, his robes fluttering in the wind. Today, I'm taking Mia. Anyone who touches her dies. Mia looked at Liam, her eyes shining with adoration. Liam. In the next second, I moved. I left an after-image behind. The White Star sword cleared its scabbard, slicing through the air. Time seemed to freeze. Liam held his defiant pose, his face full of arrogance and fighting spirit. Then a thin red line appeared on his forehead, extending straight down his face. Spluck! A mist of blood erupted. Liam's body split perfectly in two, collapsing to the floor. His gleaming blade clattered onto the stone, spinning a few times before resting in a pool of blood. Silence. The estate fell into a deathly hush. Rex stared at the body, then at the sword in my hand. The blade was as white as snow. Not a single drop of blood clinging to it. The strike had been too fast for even him to follow. I let out a long breath. That was a close one. He almost got his cool hero moment off. Liam. Liam. Mia's whisper broke the silence. The light in her eyes died, replaced by utter soul-crushing terror. She tried to crawl toward the body, but the guards held her firm. No. Her scream echoed through the estate. Ding. Congratulations, host, for successfully killing a protagonist of this world. Rewards. Cultivation level +1. Full body. Supreme bones. Plot fragment unlock +1. My power surged again. Thanks to the system's cloaking, nobody else could feel it. I felt like I was dreaming. I was already at the middle stage of the Tribulation realm. In one day, I had jumped 2 major realms and supreme bones. Most people were lucky to have one. I had an entire skeleton of him. Cheating really was the best way to live. I thought I need to wear down his luck or protagonist energy before I could kill him. I didn't expect to one-shot him. The system clarified. This world follows female frequency romance logic. Your male frequency alpha system is not affected by their plot armor. You're a pretty good system. You know that system? Of course. My designation is 001 for a reason. I sheathed my sword and looked at Rex. Captain, you're a high-tier expert and you couldn't handle a boy. Is this all the White family gets the money we pay you? Rex turned pale and dropped to one knee. I am incompetent, master. Please punish me. Go to the disciplinary hall and take 50 lashes, I said flatly. But after that, you have full access to the archives. You can study any manual you want, regardless of rank. I paused. If you embarrass me like that again, it won't be just 50 lashes. Yes, thank you for your mercy, master. Rex slammed his head against the floor, trembling with excitement. The archives were usually off-limits to everyone except the family line and the top-tier elders. This was a massive promotion disguised as a punishment. Mia and her mother finally understood their situation. They shook like leaves, sobbing hysterically. Master, I'm sorry. Please, we were wrong. Just one more chance. It was my fault. I shouldn't have taken the crystals. I shouldn't have been with Liam. Master, I was a fool. The nanny screamed. I shouldn't have acted like I owned the place just because I raised you. Spare me up. I'll die in her place. Take them away, I said, turning my back. The rule for betrayal is death by lashing. No. The two women screamed in despair as the guards dragged them out, their fingernails scratching bloody marks onto the stone floor. Asher White, I'll haunt you. You can't do this. The screams soon turned into sickening thuds and agonized shrieks. Within minutes, it was over. The rest of his servants stood frozen, faces pale, terrified to even breathe. The guards, however, looked at me with burning loyalty. Their simp master had finally woken up. 3 days later, the engagement gala began. The White estate was packed with the elite. Families from 1,000 miles around had come to witness the union. I sat on a high D's greeting guests, knowing the day wouldn't stay peaceful for long. Chloe Sterling stepped into the courtyard. The room went silent. She was breathtaking, dressed in a vibrant red gown. Her beauty was undeniable. Sharp eyes, pale skin, and a presence that demanded attention. In the middle of the ceremony, a young man in black burst through the gates. Chloe, I'm back. You can't marry him. The boy's eyes burned with passion, fixed entirely on Chloe. The guests erupted into whispers. Is that Tyler? The one who went rogue from the Sterling family. I heard he spent 3 years in a tower of death. He said he wouldn't come out until he was a master. He's actually back. And at this timing, Chloe's cold expression broke for the first time. She stood up, ripped the ceremonial crown from her head, and threw it to the ground. She turned to me, her voice cold and entitled. Asher, Tyler is back. I can't go through with this. I can't marry you. My heart belongs to Tyler. Our engagement is void. Tyler stood in the center of the hall, pointing a finger at my face. Asher, if the Whites hadn't pressured the Sterlings for years, do you think Chloe would ever have looked at you? If you tried to stop this today, I promise you I will wipe out the entire White family in the future. The hall went wild. Is Tyler insane? Even if he wasn't a rogue, his family wouldn't dare threaten the Whites like that. He's only brave because he knows Asher is AS for Chloe. I wasn't surprised. I had been waiting for Tyler to show up. It saved me the trouble of hunting him down. According to the system, in the original plot, the simp Asher would have agreed to the breakup and made a 3-year promise to duel. Tyler would then rise to power, team up with 2 other protagonists, and eventually destroy the Whites. Tyler had actually been back for a while. This whole public rejection was a calculated move to humiliate the Whites and show the world their unstoppable love. They assumed I wouldn't dare touch them. Chloe grew annoyed at my silence. Asher, did you hear me? If you're smart, you'll agree to end this. If you do, I might still let you hang around me. Otherwise, I didn't let her finish. I slapped her across her beautiful face. The blow sent her crashing into the ground, carving a furrow in the dirt. If she had been an Nth soul-level cultivator, her head would have exploded. The guests were floored. The legendary simp lord had just struck his goddess. Captain Rex, I roared. Surround the Sterlings. Anyone who moves, kill them. Rex didn't hesitate. Hundreds of White family guards flooded the area, blades drawn. The Sterling family members began to panic. Asher, how dare you? Chloe crawled out of the dirt, her hair a mess, her cheeks swollen. She couldn't believe it. The man who used to crawl on her feet just hit her. Why wouldn't I dare? I walked down from the day, my eyes mocking. Chloe, have you forgotten whose house this is? I stopped a few feet from her. Behind her, Tyler stepped forward, shielding her. Asher, that's enough. It's just a breakup. You don't have to make it this difficult for her. Enough. Chloe screamed, glaring at me. Asher, look at how considerate Tyler is. If you were half the man he is, maybe I wouldn't have dumped you. You used to love me. If I found happiness, shouldn't you be happy for me? Love is about letting go, not possession. Do you even understand that? Chloe's father, Arthur Sterling, stepped forward as he saw his family surrounded by blades. Now, nephew, even if the marriage is off, our families are still friends. Tell your man to put the swords away. You can't force love after all. He paused, then added, of course, just because Chloe isn't marrying you doesn't mean the resource shipments from the Whites should stop. We still expect those to continue, right? The guests were speechless. God, I've seen shameless people, but this is a new level. The Whites have been funding the Sterlings for a decade. They'd be nothing without Asher's family. I looked at their ugly faces and started laughing. Arthur, Chloe, look around. Everyone gets it, but you. You didn't just spit on me. You spit on the White name. I'll give you one last chance. Give back every single cent and resource my family has given yours over the last 10 years. Then the entire Sterling family will kneel outside my gate for 3 days and 3 nights. If you do that, I might let you live." Chloe's face darkened. "Asher, enough. You're just doing this because you want me. If you keep acting like this, I will never speak to you again. I don't give a damn." I roared. My sword flashed. A wave of white energy sliced through the air. Flack! Arthur Sterling's head spun into the air, a fountain of blood following it. His body hit the floor with a heavy thud. The gala turned into a scene of chaotic screaming. Chloe stared at her father's headless corpse and let out a blood-curdling shriek. "Father!" She realized then that the simp was dead. This was a monster. "Asher, I'll kill you." Tyler moved. Then he leaped into the air, shouting, "Storm King's wrath." Clouds gathered instantly, and 10,000 bolts of silver lightning coiled around him like dragons. It looked like a god descending to judge the world. The pressure was immense, forcing the guests to fall back in terror. An old man in gray robes suddenly appeared in front of me. My protector, Elder Silas, a tribulation-level expert. Silas looked at Tyler and narrowed his eyes in surprise. Just as Tyler prepared to strike, a flash of light cut across the sky. It was like a falling star, so fast it seemed to collapse the air around it. Tyler was sliced clean in half. His body separated in midair, blood sprayed like rain. His look of arrogance turned into total confusion. He looked down, saw his legs falling away from him, and let out one final vanishing scream. The lightning dissipated instantly. The two halves of his body hit the ground with 2 dull thuds. Dead silence. Tyler, the genius, the lightning user, had been one shot. Even Elder Silas was stunned. He had been ready for a life-and-death struggle, and it was over before it started. He looked at me, realizing the strike had come from my blade. "Master," Silas whispered, his voice full of awe. "I see the White Star. So much noise for nothing." Tyler was a protagonist, sure, but he was only at the master level. I was a tribulation-level expert with supreme bones. The gap was a mountain. He was too slow. Ding. "Congratulations, host, for killing a protagonist. Rewards, cultivation level +1. The Sovereign Standard Artifact plot fragment unlocked +1. Holy crap. This really is an alpha system. Even the soul-devouring Sovereign Standard dropped. System. Stay humble, host. Stay humble." Chloe's brain seemed to short-circuit for several minutes. When she finally processed what had happened, only terror and despair remained. She felt her knees sobbing and banging her head on the ground. "Asher, I was wrong. Please spare me." The rest of the Sterling clan followed suit, shaking with fear. "Master Asher, it wasn't us. It was all her idea. She deserves to be executed, but we are innocent. Please let us live." In the original plot fragments, when the protagonists invaded the White Estate, the Stirrings were the most enthusiastic killers. None of them were innocent. I looked at Rex and made a kill gesture. Rex's eyes went cold. "Slay them." Blades flashed. Within minutes, the Sterling family, all but Chloe, were dead. I walked over to Chloe. She was sitting in a pool of her family's blood. "Chloe," I said, crouching down. "Do you still think I'm just acting out to get your attention?" She looked up, a glimmer of hope in her dead eyes. "Master Asher, mercy, I'll be your slave. Just let me live." "A slave?" I smiled. "You're not worthy." Her pupils dilated. Boom! A pulse of energy exploded inside her, ending her instantly. The gala ended. The guests left in a hurry. Their perception of the simp heir shattered. From that day on, my name was feared across the continent. I stayed at the estate for 2 weeks. Alfred, the butler, found me 2 new personal attendants, girls far more beautiful than Chloe, whose families have been ruined and who sought our protection. They were loyal and quite clingy. I was enjoying my new life when a telepathic message arrived from Sienna, the Archmage of the Celestial Order, and my mentor. She was demanding I return to the sect immediately. I was annoyed, but the system rewards were too good to pass up, so I went. When I arrived at the sect's plaza, thousands of disciples were waiting. Sienna's cold voice rang out the moment I appeared. "Asher White, do you know your crimes?" I smiled faintly. "I'm afraid I don't, Master." "Enlighten me." Caleb, my junior brother, stepped forward in his pristine white robes, looking like a kick puppy. "Senior brother, I know you don't like me, but how could you kill our second senior brother and steal my vitality pills?" My junior sister, Lily, glared at me. "Asher, you've gone too far. Get on your knees and beg for mercy." The other disciples joined in. Kneel, apologize. Caleb dropped to his knees. Master, I don't ask for his life. I just want justice for our brother. I already knew how this went. In the original plot, Caleb had constantly framed Asher. The original Asher was too soft-spoken to defend himself. And Sienna, disappointed but wary of my family, had let it slide until now. Caleb wanted me gone so he could be the top dog. Sienna was shaking with rage. While Disciple, destroy your powers and kneel before Caleb. I looked at her and laughed. Master, you claim I killed him and stole the pills. Do you have proof? Sienna frowned. Caleb saw it with his own eyes. He is kind and honest. Would he lie about something so serious? Listen to that peak female frequency logic. I looked Sienna in the eye. Master, you were once just a minor peak leader. My family spent a fortune in secret to back your bid for Archmage. We even sent you holy herbs to help you reach the tribulation stage. Are you really going to take the word of a boy over the family that made you? Her face turned a sickly green. You shut up. That's a lot. Caleb started wailing. Lily hugged him, looking at me with pure hate. Asher, Caleb would never lie. Kill yourself to atone. Lily was actually a distant relative of the Whites. We have found her as a starving orphan. I had brought her to the sect and treated her like a sister. And here she was, the most eager to see me fall. The crowd roared, kneel, atonement. I flew into the air and pulled out the sovereign standard. Unlike a dark, ghostly banner, this one glowed with a blinding golden light, the light of absolute authority and righteous fury. The golden light from the sovereign standard pierced the sky. A wave of pure holy energy washed over the land. For miles around, cultivators looked toward the celestial order in shock. On the plaza, an elder gasped. Is that the legendary sovereign standard? The imperial artifact lost for millennia. I let my voice echo across the mountains. Which of you haven't benefited from the White family's generosity? And yet you believe the word of this boy over me. Truly, you've all found your way to a death sentence. A female disciple whom I had once rescued from a cult stepped forward. Asher, right is right. You must apologize. As soon as she finished, her body vanished into a mist of blood. Her soul was instantly sucked into the standard. Her lover roared, how could dare you murder? Boom! He too became mist and soul fodder. I looked down at the thousands of people. Who else? A dozen elite disciples drew their swords. You've turned demon. We'll take you down. I was an earth immortal now, though I only let my aura show at the tribulation level. With a wave of the standard, the 12 elites exploded. Their souls were added to the collection. The plaza went silent. Terror replaced the self-righteousness. Anyone else want to act for heaven? Caleb sobbed. Senior brother, please stop. Sienna grit her teeth, her sword clearing its scabbard. Vile thing. I will clear the sect of your filth today. Sienna and 3 other tribulation-level elders surrounded me with 4 of them against me. The disciples found their courage again. Outsiders began to arrive, watching the spectacle. Isn't that Asher White? Why would a man that strong steal basic pills? The Whites are the richest family in the world. This is a setup. Sienna heard the murmurs, her face turning pale. But she was committed. Asher, kneel and destroy your powers, and I might let you live. I laughed. You 4 pieces of trash. I am a living legend. Who in this world can kill me? My true aura exploded. Rainbow-colored celestial energy shot into the heavens, vaporizing the storm clouds. The air filled with the sound of phantom bells. It's celestial grace. He's an earth immortal. The first in 3,000 years. The crowd fell to their knees. Sienna and the elders turned white. To an earth immortal, they were nothing but ants. Up, Sienna whispered. I reached out through the air. A spectral hand grabbed Sienna by the throat and pulled her to me. Sienna, if the order falls today, it is your fault alone. I closed my fist. Boom. Except for Caleb and Lily. Every single person in the sect vanished into a mist of blood. Thousands of souls were swept into the sovereign standard. No. Sienna screamed. I waved my hand. And a projection appeared in the sky, a memory extraction from Caleb's mind. The world watched as Caleb cut himself, framed me, and eventually murdered the second brother in cold blood. Caleb's recorded voice echoed. Once he's gone, I'll be the star of the order. Nothing will stop me. The memory ended. The world was silent. You lied to me. Lily whispered, Asher, I'm sorry. I was tricked. She began slapping herself. Inside the standard, the souls of the elders went feral. They began tearing at Sienna's soul. You destroyed us for that brat. Caleb, you monster. The souls inside the standard shrieked. Caleb, seeing the end was near, dropped the act. He laughed hysterically. You idiots. I was here for 1 year and Asher was here his whole life. You chose to believe me over him. You're the ones who were stupid. Seta coughed up blood. Her heart, her doubt shattered. I was the fool, she whispered. I destroyed a 1,000-year legacy because I was blind. I didn't hesitate. I struck Caleb, turning him into dust. He was a protagonist, so I made sure he was erased from existence. No soul left to haunt me. Lily continued to beg. Asher, give me one more chance. Lily, I said coldly. You're not sorry you did it. You're just sorry you caught the consequences. Boom. Lily and Sienna exploded into mist. Their souls were dragged into the standard to be torn apart by the others for eternity. But I wasn't done. I knew the Celestial Order still had 6 tribulation-level elders away at the war and the demon realm was still a threat to my family. In a flash of light, I vanished. I reappeared at the Abyss front. The desolate Badlands where the final war between humans and demons raged. The 6 remaining elders of the Celestial Order were there leading the charge. I didn't say a word. I simply unfurled the Sovereign Standard. The golden light expanded for thousands of miles. Billion of demons and the 6 elders didn't even have time to scream. They were vaporized instantly. Their essences and souls sucked into the standard, fueling its power until it pulsed like a small sun. The sky turned purple and gold. Heavenly music echoed across the battlefield. The millions of surviving human soldiers, including the members of the White family, looked up in stunned silence. My parents, the patriarch and matriarch of the White dynasty, stared at me from the command tent. They recognized me, but the sheer divine pressure radiating from my body made them hesitate to even call my name. Their simp son had returned as a god. The threat was gone. The world was mine. Ding. Congratulations, host, for killing the protagonists and resolving the world's crisis. Rewards. Cultivation level +1. True Immortal, the Desolation Blade. Imperial Artifact. Interdimensional Portal Unlock. System Host. Back in your original world on Earth. Your fiancée Willow's high school crush, Julian, is returning to the country to take her from you. Would you like to return? You will keep your true immortal powers and your sovereign standard. I looked at the world I had conquered. My work here was done. I left my physical vessel behind for the original Asher. It was now a divine body that no mortal could harm. Julian, the white moonlight crush, huh? I smirked. I'm a true immortal. Let's see how a high school sweetheart handles a soul-devouring standard. I stepped into the portal. Story complete.